Hello, everybody, and welcome to OpenExO Live. It's really great to be with you this week. And this week we have Kelley Rowe, who is from Cape Town, South Africa. And as you can see on the screen, there are some awesome people coming up in the next 7 weeks from all around the world. And before we get Kelley onto screen to have a chat, I did get some community members just to share a little bit about Kelley. And so we'll go through some of those right now. And the first one just comes from Daya, and she said, wherever Kelley appears, sparks of inspiration follow. She is both a critical and systemic thinker with the ability to come up with original ideas, craft them to meet the market needs, and make them happen. A strategist and maker at the same time, with deep and sincere dedication to creating a sustainable world around us. She is a powerful woman. I love to work with her. Next, we had from Eric. Kelley is was one of the first EXO community members who I connected with last summer when I formed Boston EXO, and I'm so grateful I did. Seeing her shine in my OpenExO trainer certification cohort and watching her grow Africa EXO has inspired me to raise my own game. She challenged us in a TED Talk format to get out of our comfort zones and be transparent during her EXO Entrepreneurs virtual event she hosted last October. Kelley is an amazing, warm, and giving person. South Africa is in good hands under her leadership. Next from Crystal, I was with Kelley on the Sprint Coach cohort and also some other community projects. Kelley is one that makes me feel that this online community is not virtual, but is real with deep cares towards each other. And then lastly, from Dimakatso, Kelley is an impactful person, intentionally so. She cares deeply about people, the environment, and innovation. She led a sponsorship effort within the community to help finance my EXO consultant and coaching certifications. I am very proud to continue working with Kelley, exploring, learning, and experimenting with the EXO methodology, alongside other interests such as circular economy and impact innovation through our initiative Africa EXO. She is a strategic, critical thinker and a good friend with very good intentions, an awesome person to work with. So, Kelley, it's really great to have you this evening. How are you doing this evening in Cape Town?
Hey, Kevin. Thanks for that. That's quite interesting. And nice that people have shared those thoughts. I really appreciate that. Cape Town's great. We slowly starting to move out of summer now. So yeah. And how are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Excited to be back in South Africa. So this time it's South African talking to a South African in South Africa, which is awesome. So we always start off the questions just finding a little bit about you, Kelley Rowe. Can you just share with folks that are watching a little bit about you and sort of how your journey has got you into the OpenExO community?
Yeah, thanks. I grew up in a city called Durban, which is in South Africa on the East Coast, and I suppose there's just amazing memories that I have, especially in swimming in the warmer ocean that we have there compared to here. And it's insane. And I can't adjust. I have to wear wetsuits in Cape Town and it drives me insane. But if you don't, you freeze. It's even insane. It's bizarre. But yeah, I think over my whole life, I've really just been passionate about trying to move the needle, trying to help people empower themselves, really trying to understand why we've got quite a bad relationship with our environment. And it's, really trying to understand where and how this all came about. And I suppose it's just from your upbringing. We had quite a tough childhood growing up, exposed to not just our own challenges, but the challenges with the peers around me. And, coming through that old system into a transition South Africa, where a lot of those systemic issues still prevail.
Yeah.
And then also just constantly having to pick up rubbish around us. And it was a priority in our household. We were never allowed to waste. It was, you didn't want to do that in my mom's home. It wasn't like not allowed. And even today, it's just, you can't live this wasteful life no matter what you do. And I think that that's kind of just come through in everything that I've been doing. And I'm really, it's a passion point. And I suppose in 2018, I just kind of decided I needed to move into my own world, and I transitioned out of full-time employment. I'd spent, I forget the number of years, but quite a large number of years consulting, advising, like most of us, working for companies. It's great. It offers you a great opportunity to do good work, earn income, stable income. But yeah, I knew I needed to do more, and I needed to spread my wings. And I did that towards the end of 2018. And that's been a crazy, exciting journey. It's allowed for me to unlearn a lot of things that, you know, with change, you've got to unlearn. And in the process, it's also humbled me. Like, it's not easy working for yourself. And I think that's kind of how I started to, at some point, realized I really start connecting with other people and with other communities out there that are aligned with what I'm trying to do. And in my own smaller world that I was living in South Africa, it was quite difficult trying to find communities, because it was very much, you need to meet in person. And that was great. You're bounded by the location, and you're bounded by the people that can connect in that location. And in 2019, I went to one of the conferences Salim was at, and I was really inspired just listening to him and listening to about this global community that are connecting to drive big change, and not just talk change, like real change. And the passion points that were collectively coming together, being at that intersection of like technology, industry, government, society, the environment. And I was like blown away. Like, how can we achieve all of this? And there's people doing this, and I wanted to know more. But I tend to sit on the sidelines, and I won't just dive in. And I think I've shared this before with the community. I watched for a while and just wanted to get a sense of, how does the community connect with each other? What is this all about? They don't charge you to be involved. That's also was something I wasn't used to, because normally everyone's like, there's an upfront subscription fee. You maybe get 1 month off. And then when you're in, you've got to try, and there's a whole system and other organizations that exist. And I won't explain all of that. But it's, and my only regret in not joining the OpenExO community sooner, because I've been involved for just over a year, is that I didn't do that early enough. I would like to have started as soon as that day I left work, just jumped into this community, because it's been insane. Last year with COVID, I remember working quite closely with Jaroslav, who I think is such a phenomenal individual and adds such value to this whole community, and helping open our minds up to some of these transition processes that we need to go through within ourselves. And COVID happened last year, and I'm going through this online experience and thinking, wow, this is great. And then COVID landed, and I think it really it added that catalyst that a lot of us needed to start connecting more globally, in ways that I didn't think of doing in 2019 or 2018. I knew I wanted to be connecting. And that's really just been, I suppose, a beginning description of how I've transitioned into the community. That's been good.
That's really awesome. And you know, there's really nothing wrong with standing and watching and determining, is this something I want to do? But you know, of course, I mean, community and crowd, I mean, is one of the attributes, right? One of the scale attributes. And I'm super biased because, I mean, of course, my role within the OpenExO community is actually, you know, driving the community. So, you know, what is it that really inspires you about that you know, that community aspect? You know, within OpenExO, but even beyond, you know, just the OpenExO community.
I think the role of the community is is incredible, because it's not just about OpenExO, as you say. I mean, we're connecting with people from around the world. And I'm involved in an initiative, Women for Impact, that's kind of evolved last year, and it's within the community. So it's a community within community, which is great. And even today, we realize, we operate across time zones, so the sun never sets. And that's kind of been the experience with this whole community. It's regardless of the initiative that you're working on. I mean, the sun never sets. We were in a time zone meeting yesterday where we were on the 3rd of March, and somebody in our session was still living in the 2nd of March. And we are collectively working around a change initiative. And it's beautiful. I love it. And I love the commitment. And it is just that. It is around how the community can connect with itself, how we can engage in a way that's meaningful. We start to connect with those that've got like-minded goals and objectives that we're working towards. Your MTP, massive transformative purpose, which I think is one of the most powerful things anybody could themselves, and also for organizations and initiatives to define that space and find those linkages within. And yeah, it's quite inspiring when you're in a community that you can also raise your hand and go, I need help. I'm not certain about something. I'm looking for information to help my clients. Can people share stuff? And it's just the willingness, this connectedness and the support that continuously comes through. It really is exceptional. And the amount of people that are willing to help because they believe in what you're trying to do is inspiring. And I think that's kind of what keeps me motivated to keep going forward, especially if I don't know, I'm not sure if something's going to work. And you still go out there and you try it, and you reach out to a bunch of people in the community, and you're like, listen, I need help here. And you get the guidance, you get the direction. And that really is uplifting. And so even like over the last 12 months, I've really started to feel like I'm a part of something at a community level that integrates like with the work that I'm trying to do, but also allows me to connect with other people in the work that they're trying to do. And I can add that value in that space. You get called up to do an advisory call with a major client sitting in Europe, and you think, wow, this is great. I can do a 30-minute advisory call, not a problem, or an hour, or a 10-week sprint. Those kinds of opportunities, you wouldn't, at least for some of us here in South Africa, it doesn't just happen overnight. And so I really like the collective. It's there's the connections that take place, and it opens up these opportunities. And when you're having that shared dialogue, be it online, in a chat room, it just starts to open up magic. And you're moving into completely new, cool things that you didn't think was going to happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I do want to say thanks to all the comments that are coming in from LinkedIn, from Anne, from Soledad, from Liesel. Really just sharing about Kelley, and there's Lucy just saying a big thumbs up to you, Kelley, with your passion and all the inspiration. Nikki does also ask, Kelley, what's your personal MTP?
It's to accelerate the transition to a sustainable and meaningful future. And I know the word sustainable is a bit, we've got our questions around the word, but I suppose, yeah, that's my MTP. Really wanting to drive that.
Yeah, speaking about that sustainability side, I know, Kelley, that you're very interested in circular economy. You've done some some work and certifications with that. I'm going to get the name wrong. MacArthur.
Ellen MacArthur.
Ellen MacArthur. Can you give your thoughts around that circular economy and EXO? Like how do you put those together, and how do you think the fit is?
Yeah, so circular economy, I think it's incredibly important, and it's really around how it's a framework that brings a lot of different points of change into a picture. It really helps us to look at ways to like design waste out of the system and really move towards a way of living where we decouple economic growth from, like material things. And that's not an easy transition to make. And I think even those of us that operate in that system, I mean, when you try and tell a client the secondary market needs to be invested in and they manufacture from virgin raw material, that is such a hard decision. It's and I'm not saying that that's how I consult with my clients, but I mean, just trying to even get them to understand the secondary market and wanting to see if there's ways to invest in that is quite difficult. And the transitions in that. But it's not just about business, and it's not just about waste in the system. It's also about community. It's around the whole system and how the system connects with itself and the role that has to play into the future. I think in addition to that, I'm really interested in expanding my knowledge and understanding around the space of self-sufficiency. I think that's something that's definitely worth exploring. If we look at, there's an example that was recently launched here in Cape Town, a self-sufficient laundromat that is then accessible to anybody to use at no cost. And it's running as a pilot at this stage. But I mean, that means that if you are homeless or don't have much and you don't have access to a cleaning facility for your own clothes, you've at least got that opportunity to tap into these self-sufficient laundromats, which I think is exceptional. But it works on a whole waste system, so water's not being wasted, energy recirculates, water recirculates, and that's this whole idea of self-sufficiency that I think can allow for communities to sustain themselves and kind of exist in a far more meaningful way.
I mean, absolutely, and the thing is of course, with exponential technologies, comes that drive towards potential abundance, and that means business models do need to change, and we can't be constantly growing in the unsustainable way we have, but we have technologies that are harnessing abundance that can then allow us to drive that circularity. But I hear what you're saying, though, that it's quite hard to get people to see that, right? Because it's so different from what traditional organizations have seen. So what is it that you think can turn that shift of mind?
The EXO framework, I think, is exceptional. It opens up your mind. If you just look at the EXO attributes on it alone, and you realize if you just focus on 3 or 4, how can an organization tap into the community that they have that's not paying for anything but are prepared to contribute to this journey that you're on, leveraging on that element of experimentation. Like, let's actually build that appetite for experimentation, and let's not keep it as a sideline budget on CSR funding or a small sustainability budget. Like, actually, let's try and find a way to bring this into our business. The engagement opportunities are huge. And if you even look at it at a city level, I think there's so much that can be achieved. And the example that I'd like to share, if you look at in Italy, in Milan, I love this example. It's Sharing MI. It's part of the Sharing Cities initiative that's taking place in Europe. And they use this whole platform. So this is the technology that then comes into it to bring community together, and using the engagement attribute and gamifying that whole experience. They're getting a community to ultimately change the way it lives and exists, changes its relationship with waste. They encourage people to at least recycle. They encourage people to consume in a different way, and move towards more sustainable systems at a city level. The connections within that are huge. It allows for a city to better manage, reduce the stress that it has in terms of the service delivery that it needs to now offer to its citizens, because it's not based on this waste model, it's based on a circular model. And that starts to shift the game. It makes things a lot more, I think, possible into the future. And if you try and do this as a legacy business in your legacy ways, I think that businesses are really going to struggle to make that shift. The companies that I think that are teams that are doing really well are the ones that are leveraging on the different types of technologies, the platform that are out there, and then bringing in this abundance mindset, and trying to challenge the status quo. Energy might be free in the future. Water might be free in the future. How do we look at that as a reality and then bring that into the circular economy conversation within the EXO context, and look at how do we help teams drive that great path through this experience? And I think it has a lot to offer those and help them open their minds up to kind of innovate and move in this direction and adopt some of these changes a lot than spending a lot of time like theorizing about it or trying to see it on the sidelines, instead of kind of adopting it and bringing that into that organization, into the system to move that forward.
No, absolutely. And I love the comment that Lawrence Bloom made at the EXO World last year, where he said, you know, society is like a you know, going out to space. You have a booster rocket that gets you out of the atmosphere, and then you drop that booster rocket, and essentially pretty much all of the way the economy works, the way the world functions, is that booster rocket. And the only way we continue is actually by dropping that. And, you know, whilst you were talking, I was just thinking, you know, of a city, you know, and a very developed city with all its sewage systems, for example. Those are such a legacy, you know, system that is horribly inefficient. You know, doesn't, you know, waste can be turned into energy on site, right? But it's like the sunk cost almost that cities have to deal with. And can they make that change? I really hope they can. You know, because that's what we need to do. We need to actually just completely say, well, yeah, we might have been doing this for 100 years, but doesn't mean it's the right way, right?
No, absolutely. And I think I'm being, through the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, I was really fortunate to get into a program with them. I've been also just really like fascinated with their work for years. And it's also kind of what encouraged me to leave my work to pursue this pathway. And the work that I'm doing now, we are doing quite a bit of research in circular cities within Africa. And Africa is not a country, it's a continent. It's understanding that it's so different and so varied on the continent. And we really are trying to develop a deeper understanding of what are those opportunities and what does it mean in our context. And we understand and love the work that's taking place in other parts of the world, like Europe, but it's different here. And we're trying to now build a framework to allow for, I suppose, like cities and the various stakeholders at the city level, and then at the community level and the business level, to find the opportunity to get to that point, that call of action that speaks to our context, taking some learnings from other parts of the world, but really looking at, well, we don't have some of those infrastructure problems because it's not even there in some parts of the continent.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, so, well, how do we achieve this now? And how do we leapfrog out of some of these challenges where people just don't even have access to water, but how do we come up with a system that's really developed for the future and future sustainability system where it's not even having a negative impact on the below the water system, the aquifers. It's not affecting local river systems in the region, and so forth. So, yeah. And it's exciting work that we're doing, and that's all voluntary. And it's just amazing how people come together. And I suppose what I'm trying to do there is also bring in the conversation around exponentiality. But people often think it's quite difficult. That the thoughts of exponential growth in the circular economy, decoupling, growth from the economy, it's really a bit of a mind shift change. But I think what I am seeing now is people are starting to appreciate that technology does have a role to play if we integrate it into some of these solutions in a more meaningful way, where we're responsible with the tech we use. So we put people in the front of all of this type of change. We actually analyze and interrogate the hardware and where the material's coming from for parts that are required. And yeah, just and then appreciating the frugal innovation that can take place within the circular economy.
Yes, no, absolutely.
There is a space for that, huge space.
Yeah, absolutely. Mace has just asked on LinkedIn, from your experience, who do you think is playing a bigger role in the circular economy? Is it SMEs and startups, or is it the corporate big organizations?
Good question. In my experience, from what we're seeing, a lot is happening on. So in I think there's a lot happening in the startup world. There's an incredible amount of people who want to see the change taking place, and there's probably more younger people getting involved. But I'm definitely seeing that's happening. The financing structures are slowly starting to move, and I've been connected with the impact investment community with UCT, the program I did with them last year. And it's really interesting listening to them and how they're speaking about how these funding models are starting to shift. So we're moving away from these traditional structures. And the reason why I'm raising this now is because I think when funding starts to shift, where it starts to invest, you'll find that there'll be more people investing. And when we start to see national structure investment, like development financing, when we start to see these large investment houses coming on board and really starting to support the change that actually needs to take place. So not just circular economy, but change at a societal level, really addressing elements of inequality and so forth. I believe that more large organizations will make more of that shift, larger contributions towards us. But it's a journey. And the larger companies, I think the challenge is, there's a lot of greenwashing taking place. And but there's also a lot of big companies that are trying to make that commitment and trying to make the transition. So it's not to discount all the amazing work that is taking place. But I definitely see a lot happening within the entrepreneurial environment, within the startup environment. And it's inspiring because the stuff that these ideas that are coming through are just superb, absolutely superb. And that's kind of where I see the role of large corporates. And the EXO framework. We don't have to spend the next 3 years doing this. Let's just partner up with the ecosystem that's already on this trajectory. Let's bring them in. Let's learn from them. And let's see how we can co-create together. Because we're a large organization. We're kind of stuck here. You're way more flexible, agile in the marketplace. Let's see how we can do this collectively. And I think if organizations in the startup, entrepreneurial, and corporates, governments, big stakeholders, if we start to come together more and be more transparent about those engagements, I think that there will be so much more that will be achieved as we move forward.
Absolutely. Kelley, I've just actually looked at the time, and before we got started, I told you we generally make these 20 minutes, but it's been 30 minutes. It's really been great chatting to you. Always great chatting to you. And hopefully we'll actually get to perhaps go and have a coffee sometime soon. Really great chatting to you. Anything you want to just share as we say goodbye tonight?
I have to share next Tuesday, Monday. It's Women's Month, Women for Impact. We've got this amazing event that we've organized. There's so many incredible people from around the world that have been involved and that will be taking part. And it would be so lovely. For those that are listening, sign up to the event if you haven't already. And if you have, really looking forward to having you there. I hope you'll be there as well, Kevin. It's quite
absolutely. I actually signed up today. Good. So really looking forward to that. I am very sure that someone is going to post it in the comments, the link. Kelley, it's always great to chat to you. You have a fantastic evening, and we'll see you again soon.
Cheers, Kevin.
Cheers. Bye. So that was Kelley Rowe. Always great chatting to Kelley, and that intersection between EXO and the circular economy. It's actually something that, as part of version 2 of the book, we're saying how do we look to marry that in some essence, because it is so important that that we keep this earth going and that we look after our environment. So it's been wonderful chatting this evening. I am going to end off just with a video from Yaroslav, who is our Chief Learning Officer, We have a consultant certification that will be starting up next week. If you are watching and you're wondering, how do I help people to become more exponential? This is a month-long course that is very hands-on and is amazing, a great way to dive into the community. So enjoy that, and we'll see you again next week.
Do you want to play an active role in the largest business transformation in history? Hi, my name is Jaroslav and I'm the Chief Learning Officer at OpenExO, a global community of consultants, coaches, entrepreneurs and thought leaders helping organizations all around the world to benefit from the disruptive changes happening in their industries. I am responsible for the design and delivery of a suite of training and certification programs that train over 1,000 forward-looking business leaders and consultants every year. Our programs help you to understand and apply the hidden recipe behind some of the most innovative and most successful organizations that exist in the market today. I want to invite you to an introductory webinar about the EXO Consultant Certification Program. This program has been designed to teach the inner workings of exponential organizations and to give you an opportunity to apply the EXO model in real-life assignments. During the webinar, you will learn more about the content and structure of the certification, as well as hear from past participants about the value they received out of the program. The future of business will be led by exponential organizations. We can already see this by the number of unicorn companies disrupting almost every industry, as well as by the thousands of existing organizations applying the EXO model every day. Businesses all around the world are looking to you to assist them in navigating the largest transformation of business to date. Join our webinar to unlock exponential growth opportunities for yourself and for your clients. I look forward to seeing you there.